Good morning, my name is Svet. This is Universal Rollercoasters. It's a corporate group that manages theme parks across Europe and Americas. They have an HQ in Spain and the offices in Europe as well as North America and Brazil and Argentina. Customers are mostly business to consumer. The process is quite disparate because they grew by acquisition, but they are trying to unify that. The growth has been from acquisitions, so it was rapid and not sure if they're going to continue with that. The market is global. Challenges, of course, different systems. They're not always easy to integrate, and some of the business processes have differences that local laws or regulations regarding theme parks and security standards. So the goals are digital transformation, the standardization, improving systems and integration, and they want to improve UX from end users by having a uniform experience when visiting a URC park. The org strategy is single org. They will have unified business processes. There are no hard data residency requirements, ability to stay within limits. Plus, we're focusing on one country at the moment, and then we're going to expand to other countries. So for the time being, it's definitely single org. For mobile strategy, would be a mobile publisher for external users. If internal users will be using a Salesforce mobile app, in case that's necessary. Documents will be mostly on platform. Files will be on platform split between AWS S3 as well as Vidyard for videos. Will enable multi-language and enable basic multi-currency. The design principles will be principle of least privilege, buy before build, and no budget constraints. So I'm going to roll that into the business process requirements. So marketing team is running marketing campaigns 4 times a year. And the main objective is to capture new customers. So over here, I'd like to show you the landscape. So the landscape is quite busy. So we've got Salesforce, of course, with a customer community, social sign-on, mobile publisher, and we're integrating a website that is WordPress-based with CMS Connect. And so we'll have the Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, retaining CPQ and billing, and then introducing chatbots, knowledge, and Service Cloud voice. For App Exchange, we'll have FormStack, DocGen, Gimbal QR, Generation, SMS Magic Scan, anything with the RDNS3 link to connect to AWS S3. So these are 2 Salesforce instances that are currently in place. We'd like to retain Brazil and retire Canadian Salesforce, which is highly customized. This one we're retaining because of CPQ and billing that's already in place, and it's a fairly recent instance. So this one is going to become this one right here, so the main one. So that's what we're utilizing. Okay, now for the internal systems, they currently have a Coupon.me system that we'd like to retire because it's reaching end of life. And we'll remaster that in Heroku. It works quite well, and they definitely need to keep it. So then there's also a global theme park regulation system that is not belonging to URC, but this is for regulatory environments, assuming that's in the cloud and they connect to WHO, World Health Organization. So because of the number of systems over here, I'd like to introduce middleware ESB and ETL, both of them secured by mutual TLS and job-bearer token flow. And for ETL, we would also like to use bulk API 2.0 for quick file loading. So we would be retaining a few systems and retiring a few. So Azure data warehouse, definitely retaining ERP systems because they're very different depending on the country. Retaining the Rollercoaster Creator 2.0, integrating using REST, the rest over here as well. And then there's a MySQL database that we're going to retain as well, and the Magic Connect, that's middleware, so that needs to integrate with the camera system, which is hardware, as well as the SQL database that it also has. But we are going to be retiring the bespoke CRM. We're going to be retaining the Active Directory, and that we'll be using for internal users. Introducing Okta. Okta is going to use SAML 2.0 to authenticate into Salesforce, and SCIM 2.0 to provision, deprovision users. And once again, the social SSO will be used for customers to log into their community using OIDC flow. For the data model, definitely busy over here. So mixed between sales and service cloud. So we've got the contact person account as well. Most of this is going to be owned by operations users. And then we've got the cases, case team member user to show that they're case team members over here. And opportunities line items, the products, as well as orders line items, work order line items, And over here, we're going to be using a little bit of campaign and campaign member as well as lead, so that they could integrate with Go marketing system. Consider using Marketing Cloud, but they already have that in place and it works quite well. So no reason not to try that. Okay, so introducing a few custom objects such as health. This is going to be used to make sure that only the proper people have access to the health care related records for the various attraction customers. And then we get the customer ride that we'll see. It's a junction object to measure how many times they attend this particular attraction, they check in for it, and so on, as well as the rating. This is something the customers use to rate the attraction. And over here, they will be getting invoices. The invoices will be offloaded onto external storage off a platform because of LDV. And for the invoices, of course, we'll use the payment request and payment transaction. So moving on to, here we go, the migration and DevOps. So let's move back on to the business requirements. So again, we'll use the combination of Sales Cloud and Go Marketing integration. There's also a voucher that is going to be used using CouponMe. So that voucher has to be a particular format, 8 digits, so that will be unique. And like to use the GUID format, global unique identifier. So this will require an integration to CouponMe and Salesforce. So I'm assuming there's going to be new coupons generated, so we'll use a batch data sync. We'll create the voucher in CouponMe and batch job to synchronize that. So we'll be running that through the ESB. And actually, I'm sorry, ETL, mutual TLS, job bearer token flow, between Salesforce and ETL, one-way TLS between ETL and external system. So in addition to campaigns, the marketing department is going to explore new options. So they would like to actually update their website with marketing contact. So for that, we'll introduce CMS Connect that will integrate very nicely with the customer community, VDR to host videos, and various other collateral using AWS S3, and AWS and S3 Link managed package that also integrates quite nicely with customer community. Consider extending website with Experience Cloud, but there are concerns about the number of visits, so that we don't blow those limits. So they're interested in Instagram and Facebook ads. I'm assuming the Go Marketing system will be tracking those. And to engage with their customers using SMS, for that we'll introduce SMS Magic right over here, managed package. So they would like to digitize and provide customers the ability to purchase tickets online. So the customer will register without any intervention. So we'll be pushing those customers from the website to the customer community by an HTTP redirect to register using social SSO, and registration handler will take care of the rest. So the tickets and services are going to be mastered in the product catalog. So products, price book, and price book entries. So the customers will be able to manage full lifecycle of the tickets for the portal. So selecting the date in the park will give them an opportunity to do that using screen flow. And then they'll be applying the voucher code that matches the park and date using the voucher. This is something that perhaps I'm missing over here. It's another voucher custom object. So paying online using a credit card, debit card, we'll be using the existing Salesforce billing to connect to a payment gateway. It does connect to many of them around the world. And to visualize the purchase tickets, I'd like to introduce the form stack doc generation with QR. Actually, there will be, I'm sorry, no form stack here, just doc generation using QR Gimbal App Exchange package. So considered using the chart API from Google, but that's no longer possible. It's been retired. So after the ticket is successfully purchased, customer will receive an email of the ticket. So as soon as the payment transaction has been successful, there will be a record trigger flow, which will send an email to the customer using Lightning email templates. Now, the customers will opt in for a silver or gold pass. So that will be them buying products with a product option. The gold pass will allow unlimited queueless rides, and silver just one. So this will be, again, product with product option. Now, checking in. Once the customers enter the park, They're going to be buying tickets. And they're going to be, once they have the ticket, they'll be doing something with those tickets. And so this will basically show how the whole experience works once they are inside the park. So the personnel will ask the customer some basic questions. So that's going to be on the screen. The personnel will click a button, which will open up a screen flow, and we will create the person account once the customer actually answers those questions. Personnel will then proceed to accept payment with a cash or card. So that's a component, Lightning Web component on the sales order. And once the payment is processed, tickets will be emailed to the customer. So again, no opportunity needed here, straight to the order. Record trigger flow will then send email with the Lightning template to the customer, and their tickets will be digital. So the customers will then visualize their tickets within the URC mobile app. So that will be using a mobile publisher. They will see the assets. This I'm not sure if this is a Stripe requirement, but they bought the tickets online via the phone. Same type of thing. They'll be able to see that on asset or check their email, and there'll be that QR code. So once the customer has the tickets, they'll proceed to the main gate, and then operations will use the mobile app. That's where the Salesforce mobile app comes in. They'll be scanning the ticket QR code using Scan Anything on the App Exchange app. And so the QR again is on the assets. So once inside the park, customers will be able to use their park mobile app, and the information points to buy silver gold passes. So that's again using the product option. So every payment needs to be synchronized to this corresponding ERP. And we do have, of course, multiple ERPs depending on the country right over here. So this is the integration using remote POS indication request and reply for optimal customer experience. The source will be Salesforce. Target will be the payment gateway. So Salesforce billing will come into play here. Upon button click, it will be in synchronous call out to the payment gateway. And once the payment gateway sends the payload to the ERP, it will be a remote call into Salesforce. And that will mean that the transaction record will be completed, right, or created to show it's successful or not. So that will take care of the payment. I think I may have mixed a gateway and the ERP. So this is just the payment gateway replying straight into Salesforce. Now over here, Salesforce needs to send that payment information to distinct operations to the ERP using remote process indication fire and forget. Once the payment transaction is updated, record triggered flow will publish a platform event to which ESB subscribes using PubSub API, and it will do the call out to the ERP. Now the customer can visualize their invoices. So they get the invoices once they process the payment. So they will be giving a sharing set on the invoice based on related account to the customer community. So they have access to their own account, and they'll be able to see their invoice. This describes the rides experience. And so how does the customer actually wait in the queue? How do they check into the attraction and all of the associated processes? So the customer will be, there's a sophisticated camera system that somehow is working using the Magic Connector. Okay, that's in place, don't have to worry about that. And there will be, these cameras are figuring out the queue times. So the customer will navigate to the attraction record, will see the LWC in the attraction, and they will click on the button in order to invoke the integration just to see how long the queue is going to be. So Salesforce is where that originates. The target is Magic Connector, the remote process indication request and reply. Once the customer clicks on the button on the LWC, the asynchronous call out will be made to the ESB and consequently to the Magic Connector. Magic Connector calculates the time in queue, and actually it has to reach out to the camera system, but then Magic Connector does the ultimate calculations. They will reach out to the ESB and then back into Salesforce just to show on the LWC how long the customer is going to have to wait. Now, the attraction information will be available on the app, just like in Disneyland or World. This means they will see the attraction length, minimum height, and maximum height, estimated queue time, user overall rating for that ride, so they decide to ride it or not. Based on that static information. Those are all custom fields on the attraction object, which is right over here at the bottom. So the status of the attraction, oh yeah, and then there's also the rating, which is looking up to the attraction. The customer may be able to want to rate that attraction rating right over here after they ride. So the status of the attraction could be closed because of the rain, what have you. That's a custom pick list field, which will show the status. In addition to that, the who will be providing information about the risk, intensity, and so on. So that's going to be the integration between Salesforce and WHO. So the pattern is going to be batch data sync right over here, and the description is Salesforce is reaching out to who via the global theme park regulation system. So we'll be doing that using the ETL. So I'm assuming that will have to be done once in a blue moon. So there's no need to do any kind of a real-time or near real-time integration over here. So these, as the regulations get updated and the stats on the attractions get updated, there's a batch data sync happening between those systems. So if a customer doesn't have the required height or has health issues, they'll be signing the self-risk acknowledgement. So that's a waiver. We'll be tracking those custom values regarding the customer on the account, and of course the health information on the health record looking up to the account. And ultimately, there will be a checkbox on the account. If there are any health issues, there will be just a simple checkbox on the account to show there is something there for further investigation. So customer will then scan the QR code on the mobile app. The customer ride will be ride record will created looking at the account in the attraction, and the validation rule. So they'll be using the QR app in order to check in for the attraction, and in order to check and see if they have health issues. So there will be a validation rule on the customer ride. So they cannot check in unless this is blocked from creation, and so. If there's a health issue detected, then they will be prompted to sign the self-risk acknowledgement. So that will be e-sign operation using FormStack e-sign. Now, once the ride ends, the customer will submit the review using the mobile app, specifying the level of satisfaction. So that will be an attraction rating looking up to the attraction itself and to the account, basically, which is actually the park. So in case of a silver pass, then they get to ride without standing in line. So currently it's all manual. So what we're going to do is digitize that. So pass will be something that they buy, and that will become an asset. So the customer ride records will be looking up to an asset. Asset status will change to inactive once the customer ride is actually created. And so we'll be using the record triggered flow for that. So once the customer ride is created, then asset will be updated using the customer account. All the parks have an overall rating, but the rating is calculated by grouping all the attractions. The attraction rating is going to be looking up to the account, and the park itself is mastered as a business account. So we have personal account, business account using the park itself. And in case there are issues with the attraction, the customer can submit incidents that are separated by different record types. Incident will master as a case. So there could be an injury, again, record type. And so they'll be using the phone call or by using the mobile app. So for phone call, telephony system is kind of unsure about that. So we'll use the Service Cloud Voice for that using a mobile app. So they'll be able to create a case right there. So the cases will expose the sharing set, but of course they have access to their own cases. So they'll be able to create cases in the custom community. And the operations specialist who is skilled in first aid will be selected by Omnichannel, and the skill itself will be recognized as a first aid training. And then if it cannot be handled, then the private healthcare will be called. So it'll be a type of an escalation rule. So the private healthcare is actually going to be using, forgive me, right over here, we'll be using the, so private healthcare is actually going to be mastered over here. So I do recognize that I just missed a bunch of actors and licenses. So let me finish this and I'll come back to that. So if there's a problem with the ride, they'll be reporting an issue with the ride, same case type of thing. If there's a problem with the shop or the personnel, that also a case will be used for all of those things. And the injuries will be routed to the closest corresponding first aid specialist that can assist. We'll be using skill-based omni-channel routing for that as well. All right, so coming back, the marketing efforts are going to be led by the global marketing manager, gets the Sales Cloud, and they'll be running campaigns with Go Marketing, assuming there's only going to be one person. Then there's a marketing team also using the Sales Cloud, rolling up to the global marketing manager. Same thing, campaigns with Go Marketing, there's only 20 people. Right there, of course, we're going to need call center agents to handle all of these different cases. We give them Service Cloud. So they'll need a full Service Cloud functionality with milestones, entitlements, and so on. They'll use Salesforce Chat as well as Service Cloud Voice, 100 people there. Operation management, we'll need Sales Cloud, so they'll be able to see cases and keep an eye on things, as well as CRMA for advanced reporting. Now, operations will also use the Sales Cloud. They'll be rolling up to the operations manager. They need to see opportunities. Attraction specialists will get Sales Cloud because they want to see, they need to see orders. Engineering manager, Service Cloud for case escalation rules. And engineers also Service Cloud because they need to be on a case team and be able to see work orders. Now, the right designers, they're all internal users as well. They'll be using Sales Cloud because they need to see opportunities. Now, build managers, private healthcare, and customers are all external users. So for build managers as well as private healthcare, we'll give them Customer Community Plus, and that's going to be for them to use hierarchy. Customers themselves are going to be using cases and custom objects, and there's 4 million of those, so customer community should be able to support all of that. So we have 2,410 internal users. The file volume is 4.83 terabytes. And so, but given the growth, we'll see how that works out. So what we're doing is we're going to be dividing them by regional branch. So this will be USA, Brazil, for instance, is going to be replicated. So we'll have the call center agents rolling up to that branch, as well as operations manager and right designers. Build managers are external users, so they'll be reporting to the right designers. Of course, the attraction specialists, engineers, and private healthcare, they're divided by park, as well as the operation manager also by park, and so they will be rolling up to the operations manager. Now, global team is small, it's global, so it'll be rolling up to the global marketing manager, also going to the above all the various regions. So please forgive me for missing that earlier. All right, now moving on to attraction management. Attraction specialists are going to be operating in different park attractions, and they need to have knowledge, which currently there's a loss of knowledge transfer. So we'll introduce Salesforce knowledge. The risk, of course, here is attrition, operation disruption. So frequent knowledge and sharing and documentation should mitigate that. The specialists are in charge of monitoring issues. They may try to solve those themselves, and then the system must automatically put the attraction system under maintenance and send an SMS message. So the queue-based routing is something that we'll be using over here with Omnichannel. And then engineers, we should be able to add them to a case in case we need them. And so they'll be become case team member as their license allows. Now, the record surrogate flow on case team member will actually change the case status to under maintenance, and SMS Magic will notify the customers via customer ride. So if the customer is checked in and the customer ride is an active record, so we'll be able to run a query, figure out which customers to notify, so we'll be sending out an SMS blast using SMS Magic. Now, the engineers will be analyzing the attraction. They can do a couple of things. They can fix, there's something they can fix. They'll provide an estimated time to fix. So they'll be issued a work order to work on that particular attraction. And the ETA is going to be actually placed on the attraction itself, to which they also have access. The Apex job will calculate the queue time. In case they can't fix that, they'll close the attraction, and then they'll escalate to the regional engineering manager. So we'll be using escalation rules, part of the Service Cloud. Now, the new attractions is something they would like to expand. So the attraction is submitted as draft. So the draft attraction will actually create an opportunity for that right over here. And then an attraction design record, which actually is also a custom object over here, should be green. So the right designers that are in charge of creating new attraction designs will be evaluated by URC management. So they use this roller coaster app, and they want to evaluate the possibility of seamless access. So I'd like to check and see if that's actually possible using Canvas SDK. The risk itself, so they're just trying to evaluate at this point, not integrate. So the risk is compatibility with Canvas SDK, if that's something we can do to upgrade that system. So that's a dependency risk. We need to evaluate that ASAP. If that's possible, then contract first approach we'll be using with that dedicated team, and we'll be integrating that using the middleware. But again, that's not a promise at this point. Now, once the design is approved, the engineering team and build team will be engaged. So we'll be using the attraction design object right over here, which is looking up to the opportunity. The design rendering file will reside on the attraction design object. Considered mashup on the attraction design, but at this point, I don't think that's actually necessary, and also depending on the canvas. So we'll be creating a work order for the engineering lead to start working on that design. Now, the engineering team will be analyzing the design of the actual ride, and they'll be carefully planning the amount of materials needed. So they're doing all of that on the work order object. So they'll be creating a bill of materials on the roller coaster, and then we'll be syncing that to work orders and work order line items. That will need an integration. So the source, again, is the designer app. Target is Salesforce, and batch data sync is going to be the pattern. The description is such that when the planning is finalized in the application, then the design will be synced using, as well as the line items as well, using the ETL to the work order line items. So then work order status will be changed to finalized once everything is checked over, and the record trigger flow will replicate the order and order line items. So then we'll actually have our bill of materials, which will be ready to go into the ERP. Once the ERP is confirmed, the purchase order needs to have the ERP reference number. So we'll need to shoot that over to the ERP using the remote process indication fire and forget. Once the order is created, we'll launch a platform event using the record trigger flow via the ESB, which subscribes using PubSub API. ESB will call back into Salesforce very quickly to query line items, and it'll send the payload to the ERP. Now, once the ERP processes, it will reply to the ESBs, and then ESB will update Salesforce order with the ERP external ID. So the pattern here is the remote call-in. The build team will split the work into several tasks, and they're going to be charging the URC based on the length of the build process. So the complexity is going to depend on the height of the attraction and so on. So we'll be using the work order hierarchy. So the self lookup is right over here. We'll be tracking the required materials and timings on work order and work order line item as well. So kind of using that for project management. And before attraction can be open to the public, it needs to be carefully tested and assessed by the WHO representative. So this process is going to vary, right? But it does generate tons of documents that need to be signed, videos of high capacity, and the attraction is going to work with lots and lots of photos. So we'll be using the testing process, using a case. Videos will be stored on Vidyard, and that's going to be integrated natively into Salesforce. And Vidyard is going to actually display those videos on the attraction design object using an LWC. Photos like to store in AWS S3 so as not to blow the limits for something that is not important for the day-to-day operations. And for all the attractions, this data is going to be used, stored in the MySQL database, which is right over here. So we'll be using Salesforce Connect to integrate via ESB, using ESB as an old data layer. And the attraction design will be attraction design media. It is going to be right up here. It's the external object that will show all the various files and the photos and documents. For the new attraction, URC wants a recommendation on how to store these files. So the files, again, will be stored using AWS S3, using S3 link. Once the attraction is finished or is close to finish, the marketing team must be informed. So they want to update the public website and publish the flag videos and photos. So we'll be updating case status to nearly finished, perhaps, and the record trigger flow will push the notification to the public group, of which this marketing team is, where the marketing team is actually going to belong. And so this record trigger flow will also send an email We'll be embedding, they will be embedding the Vidyard videos on the website, which is something that Vidyard allows natively. And again, the links to photos will reside on S3 using the S3 file object, which is right over here. It's part of the package. The S3 file itself will be marked as publicly available. And the link actually resides on the S3 files. And so that's a signed request. And also there's a checkbox that is called, publicly available. So you can actually use that. And anybody who clicks on that link will be able to see the video, the photo, I'm sorry. And there's also thumbnail LWC that comes with the package. So they'll be able to visualize those pretty easily. Now, for the data migration requirements, so here's my slide. The customer records need to be migrated into a new system. We'll be migrating the information from the Canadian Salesforce, assuming that they already have common IDs with the ERP and also common IDs with the Go marketing system. So that will be customer info, such as customer name, phone number, contact information, health records, and so on. We'll be getting into the staging database, transformed into canonical database Salesforce schema. Whatever is not necessary to be pushed into Salesforce will be offloaded to data warehouse, going into production 100%, full also 100% for data migration, load testing, performance testing, and to a partial sandbox that's 5 gigabytes, so 10,000 records per object for testing and training. And of course, Dev Sandbox is Dev Pro as necessary. So the process will work such as we'll be extracting, ingesting, deduping, cleansing, validating, and enriching. All of that will be done in the ETL, then transforming data as mentioned. And in order to load, we'll defer sharing calculation in Salesforce, relax all WDs, turn off automation, group by parent ID. We'll be using the bulk API that ETL is compatible with, and it will be monitoring the time to load. So this will all be actually predetermined and planned for. So then the delta loads will be used to catch up. So no surprises here. Now, all existing tickets and coupons must be available in the new systems, and coupons are going to be repeated across regions. That's fine. So the CouponMe legacy systems also will be ingesting that information using the ETL, and then it will be pushed to CouponMe on Heroku as a remastered version. And so same for videos and files, we're pushing those to Vidyard and AWS S3. Now, the ERP will have different ways of storing the data, and then there's some data quality issues. So that's the deduping process that we just talked about over here. The existing attraction data slide must be available from day one, including the user ratings and comments. So let's take a look at the LDV slide over here. So we will have quite a bit of LDV given the number of users. So the accounts, of course, there's 4 million of those. And by year 5, we're going to have almost over 6 million of those. So that's definitely LDV. Same for the contacts, not to mention the parks themselves. So then the parks, they're only going to be about 64 that we're assuming. So that's 10% growth. Now, attractions, there is 20 of per park. So the given is there will be 800, and so growing to just about over 1,000. Now, the campaign will be 4 times a year per park, so that's 160 campaigns. Not that many, so that's not LTV, going to 258. Campaign members are going to be, of course, really over 1 billion. So that's something that needs to be offloaded as soon as the campaign is over, and offloaded to the data warehouse, actually purged from the system. So that's the long-term mitigation. The short-term mitigation would be to just run a short campaign. It's a standard object already pretty well optimized for LDV. So, but nevertheless, we'll be using the selective queries for that and skinny tables. Now, the voucher, we're going to have very few vouchers, not a big deal, 4 per park per year, depending on the campaign. So as many campaigns as there are vouchers. Now, the customer rights. So let's assume that each customer goes to one attraction each time they're in the park. So that's 80 million visits. That would be growing to basically 128 million, definitely very large. Those are transactional records. if they want to be reported on, so data warehouse, otherwise delete. And these are various tickets and additional products. So the customer will be going to 40 parks, again, times four times a year. So we'll be actually also in the large data volume territory. So the file storage on Salesforce is going to take care of all the various waivers and documents, except for the large amount of photos and videos. Those will be offloaded, but actually prefer to stay with Salesforce file storage as much as possible. And the order, this will be buying the tickets and buying and creating various bills of materials. So I'm assuming that just for the customers themselves. So the order will equal the payment transaction and payment request at the very least. So we're looking at over 1 billion of those. So the same type of short-term mitigation strategy against skinny tables, selective queries, and offloading those to the data warehouse as soon as possible using the ETL and bulk 2.0. So that's my combination of the on-off platform storage. Now, visibility and accessibility. So we've got the sharing set on the customer right, as mentioned, against the related account. That's for the customers to see their own personal details to which they have implicit records, but they also want to see the attraction right history and invoices. So then customers will be able to see their own personal account details in the sharing set on the invoice against the related account. Customers cannot see attractions that are in design phase. They will not be able to see those because they are opportunities. And of course, later they will see the live attractions. Of course, that's a public read only on the attraction object. So that would be right over here. The attraction objects is down here. The customers are going to need to log in using Google, Facebook, Twitter. So that's the social sign-on on the customer community that we mentioned. And the authorization providers will be actually set up on the community itself. Theme park attraction specialists will need to see all the issues raised against the attractions. That's Apex sharing on the attraction lookup field. So they'll be able to see cases that way. Theme park managers will need to visualize all the issues created within the park. So the park again is equals to the account if they can see that account to which they have account contact relationships. So we'll be giving them granting access via the hierarchy, depending on the operations users that actually own those records. So right designers can visualize the own right design. So they'll be owning the attraction design, which is actually private. And the build team that needs to see the attractions they're building. So that's ownership-based sharing rules to the public group of the build team on the work order, and build team is external, so but they are CC+, they can be within the hierarchy. Now, the call center agents only have the visibility to issues and problems, but not on injuries. So that's criteria-based sharing on record types of cases. Internal users will need to be able to automatically provision, deprovision. As mentioned, we're using Okta for that, and Skim 2.0 REST endpoints to provision, deprovision. For reporting requirements, so the theme park managers need to see historic lists from the last 5 years. So there'll be a CRMA data set on case from DW, because the cases, there's going to be also like a large volume right there. So we'll be offloading those. URC want to see URC directors want to see trending reports and to evaluate the opportunity over time, assuming they're going to need more than 3 months. So CRMA will report on a data set based on the attraction and then account plus rating from the data warehouse. And customers need to see and visualize their invoices for the past 10 years. So they'll be able to use their list views on the invoice, which is sharing set on the invoice with restriction rules. So they will be only able to see their own invoices consider using the LWC for row level sharing, but restriction rules will work quite nicely with external objects. Recent development in the recent Salesforce release, engineers and designers need to report containing all the new rights where they participated this year. So they will be reporting on the attraction object over here, as well as the work order, and the attraction object is actually looking up to actually work order looks up to the attraction. Now, the various project and development requirements. So the system needs to support several languages. So that would be an enablement of multi-language using translation workbench and custom labels to translate the custom fields, as well as sharing rules, errors, description, info, text, and so on. And for customer community, we'll enable custom language picker. So the risk here is the translation. Is everything going to be translated in time? So we'll create a separate work stream for that. Plan that with the PMO, and we'll begin ASAP. So since we're starting with Brazil, we'll focus on Portuguese first, and then move on to English. Now, given the fact that English is the international language of choice, so we're assuming the code will be written in English already. So just if one work stream right now translating into Portuguese. New CTO looked at the work of the current IT team. She's unhappy with the lack of documentation and project methodologies, so she wants the system documentation to be more organized. So the risk here, of course, is documentation, loss of knowledge, timeline, and budget, as well as lack of a coherent project methodology. So we'll introduce for documentation and tracking of issues, Jira and Confluence. Jira actually will bidirectionally sync with Copado, and Copado will be used to orchestrate DevOps. We'll be using SAFe methodology to align all the various teams, and Center of Excellence to basically issue the directives on the company goals. So we'll have the executive sponsor, of course, perhaps the CTO themselves, then the steering committee to issue the various plans going forward. They'll meet about 3 times a year. SAFe will consist of project increments as well as various 2-week sprints. And PMO will be a part of the Center of Excellence, of course, in various work streams. So the current IT teams will need to know the systems. They're looking to get them ready to administrate the system, including new features. So the risk here is training as well as knowledge. Adoption risk as well is here. So we'll be using various training methodologies such as train the trainer, training sandbox, as well as Trailhead might as well. So the training sandbox will be hanging off of the UAT. And the CTO has friends that work with Copado, of course. And she's asking me to evaluate that as the CI/CD solution and may get some discounts. Fantastic. So that means we're getting pushed towards Copado. No problem there. They want to design a proper environment strategy to support 12 production deployments per year. So that's basically once per month. Fairly reasonable. Let's take a look at the DevOps. So we've got the dev sandboxes, then goes into code merge, and for Copado to be able to merge the code and resolve conflicts using shift-left methodology as early in the process as possible. Then moving on to the system integration sandbox. After that, there will be some automated tests run by Provar. And in code merge, we'll have static code analysis, code scan, which integrates with Copado. Provar does too. Then we'll push it to QA. We're using Copado robotic testing over here, as well as regression tests. Regression tests will actually run across all of these environments. And then to UAT. UAT will be done by the various champions from various work streams of the client. And UAT is going to be manual testing. So we'll code freeze over here. Once UAT is completed, we'll bundle the user stories and do back promotions. So, by the way, I forgot that the unit tests will be happening here in the dev environment. And if there's time and budget, we'll use pair programming as well. Now, everything will be pushed to a full copy, which is a pre-production environment. And so that will simulate the full load to production. Here we'll be using performance testing, load testing, penetration testing, and data migration testing. And hotfix will also push into pre-prod before it gets pushed into prod. Okay, now they should be able to take care of that using 12 production deployments. So that's basically 2 sprints per month, 2-week sprints. And we'll be able to then do sprint retrospectives, postmortems, and demos. Those are all agile ceremonies, part of the SAFe methodology. Now, URC wants to be able to see the results within 5 months, and the one recommendation to go live. So the risk here is timeline and code quality. So again, SAFe to project increments and sprints. It's a phased approach, so results within 5 months just to show progress. And they're looking for a way to organize different teams. So the currently organizational issues plague them. So the risk is lack of alignment, timeline, and quality. COE will set the standards with direction from the steering committee, as well as the strong PMO that will actually take care of the different teams. Once we pilot that in Brazil, we'll be able to replicate that approach in other countries, and we'll be able to actually build the trust of the business team. Thank you very much.